LeBron had 21. KD had 23. Brew, who had the more surprising performance?
Well, look, I'm not surprised either guy played well, but we had been watching LeBron be arguably the best player on the team throughout the exhibitions. So I expected him to play well, and obviously he did. But KD, because he had not played, this was his first game, he was what, an hour before the game they decided he was going to play?
Yep.
I expected him to come in, make a couple shots, miss a couple shots, but just get warm and, get the rust off. And he turned the game around.
Yep.
When he went in the game, they were down, 6 points, and he hits 2 threes, leads an 11-0 run, and obviously they took over from there. So I was more surprised by Durant. Durant is the perfect Team USA player. I mean perfect. Because he's surrounded by other great players, so the defense can't focus on him. They can't double team him. And so he's either getting an open shot or one-on-one. And with his height, obviously, it's tough for guys to guard him one-on-one. And look, it's kind of like Carmelo Anthony. Like, it's no coincidence Carmelo's the second leading scorer in Team USA, Durant's first, because you just get open looks. And if you can shoot jumpers, and Nick, you and I talk all the time about how Durant needs to shoot more threes. This three-point line is shorter.
Exactly.
So those are the long twos he's usually taking, but now they're threes. So Durant was fantastic, and I was a little surprised that he was so good in his first game.
So when I saw it, I thought of something you say all the time, which is, I don't know if your exact quote is malleable, but that Durant is the most malleable superstar in league history, that you can drop him into any team there is really, throughout history or current, and he would fit. And I thought this is perfect evidence of it, which is literally never played with these guys as a collection, comes in and makes them seem, for the first time all tournament, unbeatable. I have thought they're unbeatable, but they haven't looked unbeatable until this game. But neither is surprising. These two men, right now, Durant's first all-time in points, LeBron is first all-time in assists. At the end of this Olympics, LeBron and Kevin Durant will be first, second, or second first in points, rebounds, assists, shots made. And they are the two most prolific Olympians ever on the men's side of things. So neither is surprising. Both is frustrating, though, Wildes. And I don't mean to turn it something negative, but I will just for a moment. I can't watch Durant and LeBron do this and not get angry at their franchises. I can't. And
the Suns you're mad at?
The Suns and Lakers both. Because all of us, myself included, in the commentary world, have maybe prematurely downgraded LeBron and Durant slightly as far as where they are in the NBA hierarchy.
I buy this.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, because LeBron's almost 40, he's in year 21, so he's not a top 5 guy anymore. He's, 11, 12. And Durant, is he better than Devin Booker? Is he not? Man, when I watch these two guys, healthy, rested, under these circumstances, sure feels like these are the two best players on the team. And if you're the two best players on Team USA, yes, Giannis, Jokic, Luka are the 3 best guys. Take those 3 guys. But during this tournament, LeBron James has looked like the 4th best player in the world behind those guys. And Durant, in his very limited action, now looks like neck and neck with LeBron. And it just feels like they are still top 5-ish players even at their age.
I'm going to push back a little, and they look great. But Kevin Durant has Devin Booker and, when he's healthy, Bradley Beal as teammates. I'm not going to feel sorry for him. LeBron does have Anthony Davis.
Who's been awesome in this tournament.
I'm not going to feel sorry for him. And you can talk about the role players and all, but they got some people on their squad. They got second stars. I think what helps, in particular LeBron, in this is that this is 6 games? And if you count the exhibition, it was 10 games. When you get older, like we saw Kobe, I know he took 50 shots or whatever, but he scored 60 in his last games. When you get older, you can still have great games. It's just, can you do it through 82 games? And in a 6-game or 10-game run, LeBron can play harder on defense.
Yep.
Because you know what I mean? It's not an 80-game season with playoffs coming. So I think that's part of it. I also think, Nick, in the international game, what we kind of consider athleticism, speed, jumping ability, that's not as big of a factor as it is in the NBA. So the fact that LeBron's lost a little athleticism doesn't really hurt him in the
these
Olympics.
And it looks like he's the best athlete on the court every game.
He's been
He looks like he's twice as strong as everybody else.
Twice as strong.
He's literally pushing grown men down.
Yeah.
Like, well, you know, I'm here. He
he can
tackled
go
the guy.
to the hole whenever he wants. It's like
Guys are flopping around. He also played
He's been better than somebody else.
27 minutes, so that seems like a nice spot for him. Durant played 17 minutes.
Right.
Didn't start the second half, so maybe the minutes are nice too for if you're a little bit older. I do think, just before we move on to Tatum, do you feel like Durant might not be long in Phoenix? That's what I started. I'm like, oh, this Steph reunion feels nice when they're doing the press conference together. They're happy.
I don't know.
Steve Kerr giving them all Tatum's minutes.
Oh, if you could do.
Here's what I do
recruiting
think, Brew. I think that some pairings coming out of this tournament. I mean, it's every Olympics it seems to. And so when you were last week, we talked about could it be LeBron and Steph if LeBron plays long enough. I think that one of the things that happens if you're still an apex predator in this league and your team, for whatever the reason is, because you're right about Anthony Davis has been maybe the third best player in this tournament.
He's
been.
That's not even
I think that when you get a taste of this, it makes it even more frustrating to then going back and playing in games that don't matter as much on teams that aren't really championship level. And you know what I mean? It makes you want to scratch that itch a little bit.
And with LeBron, I mean, when he was in Cleveland his first stretch and didn't have this type of talent, he never complained. Then he played in the Olympics. You go to Miami, and now every year he's like, man, I need better players because he's so smart, and playing with better players is great for him because of his IQ.
LeBron, and we have it in Weird and Wonderful. I don't think we have it queued up. In the I think it was the fourth quarter when LeBron gets the and one. He's on the ground, and Durant comes up flexing, and LeBron gives his LeBron scowl. I almost joined the Marines. I swear to God, that hit me in some patriotic part of my heart. I got really fired up for all of America. But the moral of the story is he is at peak intensity that you're not seeing in regular season. I don't know if I saw it in the
in-season. It's 6 games.
But he is fired up.
Go hard
it also, and I hate even speaking this into existence, but it's basketball reality. I think he knows if he stays with the Lakers and he only plans to play 1 or 2 more years, these might be the most consequential games I have left in my basketball life. You know what I mean? Not that that's a definite, but that in fact, I'm certain he knows that's on the board. That the most, you know what I mean? The games with the highest stakes that I'm going to play the rest of my basketball life are over these next couple weeks.
Yeah. Also has now beaten Joker 3 of the last 4 games.
Oh, that's right.
First of all, yes, you can play more than 10.
If you can play 10, you can play 12.
Exactly.
Especially when you win by 26.
And when you get the amazing guy compliment, that is basically an insult.
Yeah.
Kevin Wildes not going to show. Amazing guy, though. Amazing guy.
That's what I say about you every time.
Amazing guy. As soon as you hear amazing guy, we have an intern watching. Yeah. If anyone calls you an amazing guy, you're doing a bad job. All right, Brew, how should Tatum feel about the benching?
Well, look, publicly, it's odd because publicly you have to put on a good face. I mean,
Tatum?
Yes. Yeah. Privately, though, as a competitor, you're going to be ticked off. But you can't really say it to anybody.
He wasn't crazy, bench mob guy.
Oh, no.
I was watching it. He was just.
It was reasonable, but he didn't put on the face Halliburton did.
No,
Halliburton was I'm just happy to be here.
Right. Yeah. They're at different stages.
Yeah.
One's a world champion, first team All-NBA 3 straight years, middle of his, I guess maybe beginning his prime.
Sure.
Halliburton, like you said, he's just happy to be there.
Also,
he's a
one
young
is
kid.
clearly the best player on his team, and the other's Jayson Tatum, and so it's like it's a weird spot.
But I think what helped him, I would imagine, if I was in his shoes, what would help Steve Kerr going to him before the game and saying, look, we got KD coming back. Your minutes might be small, or you might not play at all because we got KD. And explaining to him the matchups. Hey, they're big. We're going with all 3 of our centers. They're guard-oriented. We're playing some guard, so you might not play. No, I do think that helps you. If I were in that situation and the coach came to me beforehand and said, look, blah, 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 you may not play today, that would feel better than if I'm blindsided. I think I'm the 7th man, and then I'm not playing. And one more thing quickly. I think what will determine how he feels ultimately about this, Kerr said he's going to play against South Sudan. That's their next game.
Yep.
If he plays 3 or 4 minutes, it's a tight game. Okay. Then I think it's really going to hit Tatum like, yo, I'm like one of the bottom dudes on this team. If he plays 16 like he played last time against them, and he's in the rotation, he's a factor, I think he'll brush that off as it was a matchup thing, it was a KD thing. But we'll see how it is going forward.
So it's obviously extra weird because what the last few months have been. Conference finals happen, Jaylen Brown gets the trophy. And it's like, oh, I never win anything. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Finals happen. The Celtics win easily. And the only person who seemingly really struggled in that series, I understand your point, Brew, on the Celtics side of things, which is he had a better series than maybe the box score suggests. But the only person who really struggled, right, by his own standards, is Jayson Tatum. Jaylen Brown gets that trophy. Now the Olympics are happening, and I don't think Kerr made a mistake. That's my take.
At all?
Yeah.
Like, he should have put him in. Well, I mean, unless he felt like it was insulting to put him in.
Because here's the thing. I think people are looking at this a little wrong, and this is what is so interesting to me. It's really just a Jayson Tatum versus Devin Booker question. That's what it is. Kerr can talk rotations, matchups, this, that, or whatever. Devin Booker is getting his minutes.
Okay, Devin Booker had 26 minutes.
I know. And what
Do you think Booker's better than Tatum?
Well, Steve Kerr does.
Well, not necessarily.
Here's the thing. I think with this three-point line, because it's weird. Tatum is a better career three-point shooter than Devin Booker and was better three-point shooter this year in the regular season. Shot more and had a higher percentage. But in the playoffs, it plummeted for Tatum. And this is a shorter line, and Booker and KD love those long twos, which are threes in FIFA. And so, yes, Embiid might have his minutes cut, but that's just because they're going to go to Bam or AD.
And he's not really playing that much.
And he's not really playing that much either. The guards are Ant, Steph, Derek White, and Drew Holiday. They all kind of have unique roles. The wings, forwards, LeBron, who has been the best player. Durant, who's played one game and was perfect. Devin Booker and Jayson Tatum. So it's really that when you said Kerr, if he came to you ahead of time, if I were Tatum, he came to me ahead of time, I think my thought process would be like, okay, I understand all of this about Kevin Durant, but why is Devin Booker ahead of me in the hierarchy? And the only answer to that question, I think, is we think Devin Booker's better. Or a better fit for what we're doing.
I was going to say, see, that's what, and I don't think Tatum's going to have a huge role, even if he starts playing going forward. But he has to look at it like this is not just the best player. He's better than Derek White and Drew Holiday. Can we agree on that? He's better than Bam Adebayo.
Yes.
And I do think he's better than Booker. You can argue that, but I think he's better. So, and heck, Jaylen Brown ain't even on the team. So I think he has to look at it for himself that, look, I can't let this get me down because it's not about I'm better than these guys.
Get you down, man.
Well, he's going to get your goal. I mean, if he doesn't play at all, I guess.
He's going to be the first guy ever, Wildes, to win a championship and have a bad few months. From where he is in the NBA hierarchy standpoint is my point. Like, since he could win a championship and a gold medal, and from the day before the finals started to the medal ceremony, drop in people's mental rankings of players.
I mean, a controversial take, it's probably good for the Celtics next year.
Motivation?
A little bit.
No,
like I'm disrespected now. Like Jaylen Brown's like, me too. Like we're both in the same boat.
It's kind of like I've talked about the Chiefs. Like even though they won the last 2 Super Bowls, they got a reason to be motivated. He will have a reason to be motivated. But here's the other. Team USA has to recognize who's their leader. I mean, it'll probably be Anthony Edwards. But Tatum going forward is a critical part. And the last Olympics, he was the second leading scorer. So he has had his moments on the international stage, and he's going to be a big part, I would imagine, going forward. So you got to kind of be careful about that.
All right, before we move on, here's the weird part, because Kerr said Tatum was going to play, and then he said, I'm not going to answer the second question, who's not going to play? So I'll ask you, if Tatum does get minutes and he only wants to play 10, Oh, you think Embiid's not playing?
Well, I think Embiid
the
will have it
matchup
cut significantly
isn't right.
because he said we're going to play 3 bigs this game because of who it was. So, I think Embiid, but I
The
just...
athleticism.
But the problem
Embiid only
Embiid
had
is
11
he's been
and
a
he was
starter.
out quickly.
Embiid's been bad.
Embiid's been worse
bad.
than Jayson Tatum.
I don't know who's having the toughest Olympics from a mental standpoint thus far. Tatum, Embiid, or Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown's a sneaky winner. He's like, I'm not dealing with any of this. I
just sending
fired up
bomb tweets.
Yeah.
It's having that Tom Brady kind of feeling. Late in the game, it always felt like Tom was just going to take over and not make it close. I feel like I can get to that. I want to be dominant. Brew, your reaction.
I like everything he's saying and doing, because if you read the whole article, you see he was chastising Debo Samuel.
publicly now.
Let's do it right.
Yeah.
I like everything he's saying and doing except 2 words. Tom Brady.
Oh, come.
No. If Anthony Edwards said, don't compare me to Michael Jordan. Right?
And
then did the shrug.
several Michael.
I'm just saying, like, when you put, if he had, Nick's going to probably go off on him. Coach might go off on him. If he says, I mean, Nick always does, but still, if he says this without using the words Tom and Brady, I think most people are like, oh, that's great. Because I love his assertiveness. I love the fact that he's, in his own mind, taking control of this team. He clearly feels more comfortable. And I think he looked at Detroit and Green Bay in the second half, how he played. He was off schedule more. You know, it was like, I got nothing to lose. We're down. I got to make things happen. And I think now he's saying, I'm going to play that way all the time. At least that's what he said.
Be careful.
It could backfire because if he starts making mistakes. But I think that's the mentality at least he's coming in with. And I think if he starts making mistakes, Shanahan will dial it back.
Yeah.
But I like it except for saying Tom
So
Brady.
I think they're wild quotes. I think it's exciting. I thought him calling out Debo was noteworthy. Him being like, yeah, he's screwed. Like, I yelled at him, and then telling Mike Silver, he screwed that up. I was yelling at him on the field. Now I'm telling you about it, and I'm explaining how everybody needs to be buttoned up. Brock Purdy, in my opinion, his teammates have been overly supportive of him because folks such as myself have had healthy skepticism of him. I think some of those teammates, I'm sure, think he's awesome. And I think some of those teammates think he's kind of a product of all pros on the team, but he's our quarterback and we're going to support him like we did with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's interesting now to see how this all plays out because Debo did get paid but was on the trade block. Ayuk has not gotten paid. Trent Williams wants to get paid more. He's not there. And one of the reasons, ostensibly, the Niners feel like they're in such a tough spot financially is because handing out long-term deals when they have to carve out $60 million a year for Brock soon could be a problem. So I'm very interested in how all of this plays out. Because I don't think Brock Purdy all of a sudden being like, I'm going to show him what I can do is a recipe for success. I think there is a reason he has colored inside the lines consistently.
He hasn't colored inside the lines.
That's a good thing.
He's been effective when he has gone out of those lines.
Obviously
in the playoffs.
yes, it's to a degree. There were twice all year that he had 3 straight games of a sub-90 passer rating, that 3-game stretch in the middle of the year, and the 3 playoff games. There was a bit of he played poorly early and then well late, which is one of the things I wanted to see. But I don't think Brock Purdy being like, I'm going to show him my Brett Favre streak is a recipe for success. I do think it's a recipe for excitement, and I hope that's what happens.
So here's another quote I pulled. There were moments last year in games where I would just, I don't know, the situation we'd be up and like, all right, be smart with the ball. Let's just make sure we don't mess up. I want to break through that. And get to this point of just being dominant for 4 quarters.
That's what I'm saying.
That's my mindset.
Yes, that's why I said there's wild quotes.
But air it out, man.
Okay.
How is he going to get to the next level?
What?
He's got to have a little more swag to him.
Nick, I think this is a product of his study and his maturity. Like, I've said it, and we'll see if it comes to pass. He's going to get better. I expect him to get better.
Well, then he should, in part of his study, he should study his own coach's quarterback history, because the last time his coach had a quarterback lead them to a Super Bowl, and then the next year didn't go quite the way they hoped it would, There was a 1-year grace period. The very next year, he traded the farm to try to replace him. That's what. So this idea that like, oh, was he hurt again that year? That was, he had gotten hurt, and right. But then that's fine. But the next year, that quarterback was healthy, got him to the NFC title game, and they turned off his key card and wouldn't let him in the building. And so the idea that he has this huge grace period margin of error, I'm going to try new things out. Kyle Shanahan's history says maybe not. So I'm excited. I hope this is true. This could be a classic 2 or a classic 3. No, I just want to get. I don't think we're going to get finality and a clear-cut answer on if I'm right or wrong about this guy unless he tries this. If he tries this, it could be like, oh my God, one of the greatest draft picks ever, or oh my God, another classic 2 by your old buddy Nick.
I think he's going to try it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.